Welcome to the eSales Podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the art of online selling. Whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, digital marketer, or sales professional, this podcast is the passport to dominating the digital marketplace. My name's V, your eSales navigator. Join me as we dive into the latest strategies, tools, tactics to help you automate and conquer the world of online sales. Get ready to boost your online sales game and unlock your full potential. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to this eSales podcast. Today we have Chloe Johnson, who is the owner of the Marketing Cafe, and she shares her story and how she scaled her e-commerce business from a side hustle all the way through to $1 million. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today. I know that you've had a couple of webinars which I've attended, and you've shared some really valuable tips on, metrics and just little strategies as to how e-commerce businesses can really build up their brand and build up their sales. So Chloe, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's exciting to be here.
And look, I'm really excited. I'm sure the guests are really excited to kind of have you on board as well. So look, tell us about yourself and tell us, how you went to where you were and then how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So I owned an e-commerce business that I started in 2017 as the typical side hustle story. I started it really out of a fascination for e-commerce. So it wasn't so much that I loved the product that I was selling, but I just was really fascinated with e-com. I had a cousin that was doing it very successfully, and she sort of piqued my interest. So I was doing that while I was working full-time as a marketing manager. And I was the typical side hustle. I was doing it from my spare bedroom, and then it moved to my living room, and I had a very accommodating partner, as I took over the house. And I was fulfilling orders in my lunch break. Luckily, I didn't work too far from where I was. And yeah, it was just really grassroots. And I started it very part-time, and then I had a baby, went on maternity leave, and naively thought that because I was on maternity leave, I would have more time to grow this business. But for anyone who's had babies, in the beginning, they do sleep a lot, right? So it actually did work. It actually did. So I spent a lot of that maternity leave time really growing the business while the baby slept. And I never returned to work again. So no, sorry, I did. I returned to work, but I didn't enjoy being back at work. By this stage, the e-commerce brand had grown quite a bit and it was starting to take off. And my head wasn't in my corporate job anymore. It was all about the e-commerce brand. So I guess fast forward sort of 5 years, and I ended up taking it from my home and into a warehouse in town, and I had anywhere from sort of 4 staff to 17 staff during those busy periods as well. So from side hustle to that $7-figure $1 million revenue turnover. Long story short, I suppose.
Wow, that's really, really impressive. And I love the fact that you were on maternity leave and kind of still kept going. I know that some people, find that to be a bit of a barrier, but like I love that story that you're keeping on going. I've also got a newborn as well, 4 months old, and I'm also
wow,
doing
amazing.
the whole side hustle thing as well. And you're right, a plan never goes to plan. And it's a bit tricky sometimes.
And then you've got the sleep deprivation in there as well, right? So we're a special kind of breed, I think.
Yeah. That's right. So I think, I think it's really important to hear how you kind of were doing balancing out between, new Barb, e-commerce, and still managed to make it happen. So I guess what were the key things that really worked for you?
Yeah, I think I had a really strong why, and I know that that's quite cliche. I know everyone knows Simon Sinek and you need to know your why, but it actually was really true, because in those early days, there were a lot of tears. There were a lot of give up moments. But I knew that I wanted to have more flexibility in my life, and I wanted to have the freedom to be able to attend my children's events once they finally did go to school. Or, I knew that a lot of sick days were coming, because that's what happens when babies go to daycare for the very first time. And I just knew that that corporate work, that 9 to 5, wasn't going to fit for me anymore. And so I just had a lot of grit and determination, but it was ultimately that why that sort of pulled me through, but also surrounding myself in a really strong support network. I really don't think that you can do it on your own,
No.
because you just need to be able to vent, you need to be able to bounce ideas off people, have a sounding board. So whoever that might be, your mum, your sister, your partner, your best friend, your neighbor, anyone, you do need a support network that's going to sort of be your cheerleader and champion you on that journey.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think that support network and that why, yes, it's like so cliche, but it's so true, you know. I think
Mm.
without that why and the vision, it's really hard to kind of pull through the obstacles or the things that go wrong, or sales aren't going well or whatever it is. It's really important just keep on showing. And so I want to kind of
Yeah.
understand, that why, and so how you manage to kind of keep going through the times that were tough. And actually, another question is, did you have times that were a bit tougher?
Oh yeah, the first 2 years were really tough.
Yeah.
They definitely were. I think the other part of what really got me through, and what I would recommend to anyone doing something similar, is you really need to have a appetite for learning. Businesses aren't built overnight. They aren't built without knowledge, and knowledge is your power. And I would learn and learn and learn. And I embraced mistakes. I did view that as learning and not
Mhm.
as failure. So I
Yeah.
think your mindset and shifting that is really important as well. So when I would make a mistake, and when I say a mistake, maybe it was that I had ordered, $1,000 worth of stock from somewhere, and I hadn't got a sample, for example, and it turned up on my doorstep and it wasn't what I thought it was, and there was no way to return it or get my money back. So there were some costly mistakes. But then there were other mistakes which were just around the use of my time. So I would spend hours doing a specific task, not really valuing my time.
Yeah.
So the mistakes were on a wide spectrum, I guess. But I learned a lot. I would spend a lot of time on YouTube, podcasts, taking courses, all of that kind of stuff. And I know that now there are a lot faster ways to absorb that information as well. But when I was doing it 7, 8 years ago, it was all about just trying to scrape as much as I could from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow. And I think, that the inside you who wants to learn has really like kind of gotten to where you are now. And so, with learning, what kind of information did you find was valuable when it comes to building your ecom business?
I think learning from those who had gone before me was really key. So you've got experts out there who are very theory based,
Hmm.
and I'm not discrediting that, but the ones that I really lapped up and connected with were people who had gone before me. And
Yeah.
I was fortunate to have people in my circle who had started e-commerce businesses before me. And I sort of, stuck onto them like a barnacle and sucked all the information out of them that I could. And they were very, generous with
Yeah.
being able to give me that information, because there's nothing like someone who's actually been there and done that to
Mm.
get that real true information and experience of what it's like to grow an e-commerce brand from the ground up.
Yeah, 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 100%. And I think, now that you're shifted from the e-commerce space and you're actually coaching people, I understand, with e-com. So I guess I'd love to kind of understand what are some of the things that people come to you the most for?
The number one thing would be clarity.
Right.
People are really overwhelmed by all of the information that's out there and everything that they should be doing. There is E-commerce loves to overcomplicate things. You should be doing this traffic strategy. You should be doing that. You should be doing this. And it's absolutely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And that overwhelm really takes the passion out of your business and why you actually went into it in the first place. You get so caught up in the pressures of what you should be doing that you forget about, why you started it in the first place or the joy that it actually brings you. So I help people really declutter. I like to say I help people sort of Marie Kondo their business. So I help them, declutter what's going on in their mind, but also in their business as well. And actually just strip it right back. So I recommend, just choosing 2 or 3 really simple strategies and nailing that. You don't need to be showing up everywhere. You don't need to be doing absolutely everything. In terms of traffic in particular, choose 2 or 3 strategies, absolutely master that, own that as your strategy. And once you feel like you've exhausted that, and once you feel like you have squeezed everything that you possibly can out of those 2 or 3 strategies, then maybe it is time to move on to a new strategy. But I think there's real power in understanding what not to do as well as what to do in your business, saying no to all of that noise that's going on out there, because it can derail you and it can really, get you off guard. And when we chase those shiny objects, then we can lose focus on the things that are actually working for us.
Yeah. Oh, my husband always says, not everything that glitters is gold. And you've kind of really nailed that. I love that you're saying you do the Marie Kondo of your business. And like, because you're right, like I've definitely experienced it with my previous business where I kind of did everything, said yes to everything, and did all the things and didn't do anything right. Uh, and so, and so it was really tricky though, when you're starting out in e-commerce and business in general, to actually have that clarity, to be really clear, to be able to say no, because it's a new field. Like you're walking in, you're jumping into the deep end when you're starting a business and you're like, where do I swim? So it's really hard to kind of get clear. So I'd love to hear from you, Chloe. How do you help people get clear? Any techniques that have worked for you or work for your clients?
Yeah, so I always recommend people look at what's working for them already. So rather than try and guess where you might need to be, have a look in your analytics, have a look at your data, at what's already working for you, and blow that up. Because there's no point in trying to make something work that isn't working already, because you're essentially trying to start from the ground up over and over again.
Yeah.
And it applies in all aspects of your business. So in terms of your marketing, yes, but also it's that 80-20 rule with your products. So 80% of your sales are likely to come from 20% of your products.
Yeah.
So if you know what your top products are, promote those. Just get more people buying those products rather than trying to lift up the ones that aren't working for you, because that's going to take more time and more energy and more money to get those in front of people. And that can be hard to do, especially if you're the maker of your brand, the maker of your product, or if you're really connected to a particular product. It can be hard to not want to get that going and not want to sell that as your hot, most popular product. But actually, and this is where that it can be hard to say no to things more so than saying yes to things. So focusing on the top products is going to generate more revenue for you.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your traffic strategies, for example. So have a look in your analytics, have a look at your traffic acquisition report, and that will tell you where your traffic is coming from. Choose the top 2 channels and double down on that. How can you make those channels bigger? How can you make more people come through those channels?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. I like that so much. And so, in order to, the first step though, before actually identifying what channels work for a business, um, identifying it is actually quite tricky. So how do people identify sorry, let me just say that again. How do people identify which traffic sources are coming to their business or shop?
Yeah. So it's about going into your analytics reports and having a look in there. So You can do that either on analytics, or if you're on Shopify, they've got a dashboard in there which shows you where your traffic source is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do need to be obviously getting traffic. This wouldn't apply to someone who was starting out completely fresh and wasn't getting traffic. For people who are starting out completely fresh, in terms of traffic, I do recommend a slow and steady approach. So you want to go with the organic strategies, such as your organic social media. Now, choosing which social media platform for you is important, because you need to find out where your customers are actually hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about where they're hanging out, not where you want to hang out. That's really important. And SEO, search engine optimization, again, it's a slow labor of love, but that is where you should be starting when you're starting out in business. It can be really tempting to put a whole lot of money into ads, but I don't recommend doing that until you've been able to, validate your product, know that people want it, and that you have a conversion rate of around 2 to 3% on your website.
Yeah.
So if you aren't converting customers on your website, then you're essentially putting money into ads that are going to leak cash for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So true. I think there's so many little golden nuggets in there. The first one is like getting your analytics right and setting that up on your website. I know I sometimes do website audits, and some people just don't have analytics installed on their website. So yeah, I love that you've actually said that. The second thing is, throwing money into the ads. That's a perfect way to kind of lose money, especially if your website isn't converting. So tell us more about that. If you could elaborate, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I realize that I'm covering off a lot here. So breaking it down. Thank you for encouraging me to break it down. So think of your website like a bucket, right? And the traffic that you're pouring into it through paid ads is the water going into the bucket, or customers. So this is cold traffic coming into your bucket. If your bucket has holes in it, meaning if your website isn't converting at around the 2 to 3%, you've got holes in your website. And what happens when you pour water into a leaky bucket, into a holey bucket? You leak out all the water, right? It's the same sort of thing. If you think about the customers coming into your bucket, they're going to just leak out those holes.
Yeah.
So this is why we want to focus on having a high converting website before we invest our money. But it's not just our money, it's our time and our energy as well. You want to have a solid, robust website so that you can capture as much of that cold traffic or any kind of traffic coming to your website and convert those into sales.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I think there's so much to kind of untap there, but I'll ask one more question and we'll zone out and do into another topic. But the first one is, what are some of the key factors or things that you can find on a website that helps with conversion rates?
Yeah, so massive topic. So it's called CROW, which is conversion rate optimization, and it is a specialty, but you can absolutely do it yourself as well. And it's really about putting yourself in the shoes of your customer and how do they work through your website. So you need to be able to give them, let's take the homepage, for example. I always like to describe the homepage as like the broadsheet newspaper, where it would sit outside the dairy and it was folded in half and you had no idea what was in the newspaper, or you had no idea what was sort of underneath that fold, right? We'll treat that top part of the newspaper just like the top part of your homepage. As soon as people come to your homepage, they need to know why they should be looking around further on your website. You need to smack them in the face with exactly what you do and why it will benefit them. So how are you going to transform their lives? And it might not be their life, but it might be that moment for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people focus on the problem, but I'm more focused on the desired outcome. So you want them to know that as soon as you get to the website. You also want to know, okay, what are the benefits of shopping with this site? Is there free shipping? Is it a sustainable business? Is it, New Zealand made or Australian made, or whatever country you're in that you value? Do you have third-party payment options? Those sort of benefits of shopping with you, they should be in the top of the fold as well, or just underneath it. And then you want to have real clarity around that customer journey. So how would they shop? How would they shop with you? Let's say that you're a pet store product. You need to think, okay, people own either cats, or they own dogs, or they own rabbits. So have collections that really clearly say cats, dogs, rabbits, rather than, pet accessories, because that is pet accessories for who. So it's really about breaking down how the customer would work through your website. And so that's massive for conversion rate optimization as well. And then when it comes to your product pages, I think and throughout the whole journey on your website, the biggest conversion rate factors that I always encourage are transparency with your shipping. So whether that is the cost of your shipping upfront or the time, and I recommend both if you can. Yeah. The time's not always possible, but definitely the cost, and whether it's free shipping or whether it's a flat rate, have it on your website on every page that you can, the homepage, on your product pages, on your cart. Right, we never want shipping to be a surprise when they get to the very end. People are shopping with a bit of a budget in their mind, right? Like whether it's subconscious or not. And if they're shopping with you and they think that they're adding a $100 item all the way through, and then at the end you tell them that it's an $11 courier cost, even if they can afford it, it just leaves this sort of icky taste in their mouth, and it can make them cross out because they want to think about it, and then you've lost them in that hot moment.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I recommend. Be transparent with your shipping. The other thing is return policies and refund policies. So by allowing hassle-free refund or return policies, you're instilling confidence in the consumer that this is a no-risk purchase.
Yeah.
So what the heck, I'll go through with it because I know that I can return it if it's not going to fit or if it doesn't look good. And that sounds a little bit counterintuitive because you're thinking, well, I've made a sale. I don't want them to return it. I don't want to open up that. But actually the percentage of people who would return it are very slim. And if you stand by the quality of your product, then you've really got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
So by having those two things on your website in as many places as possible, could see your conversion rate increase quite significantly just by those two small tweaks.
Yeah, wow. And I guess I'm just thinking, when you're talking, I'm thinking about my own shopping experience online. And so when I'm shopping, I also want that peace of mind that I'm actually doing the right thing, So if there is a return policy, yep, okay, it's all good. Even if I make a mistake, it's okay. So it's like my own internal validation when I'm buying something online. And even with the shipping costs as well, I do opt out of a shopping cart if there's a shipping cost that I don't expect as well. It's just, funny how psychology works. And it's kind of got me thinking about my own shopping experience while you're kind of sharing those little tips and tricks to how conversion rates can actually help. So that's so simple. I think it's really quite helpful. And I think for some people, especially people listening on the call or the podcast today, it can be a factor that can be forgotten, which is so good. So thanks so much for sharing that, Chloe. Anything else that you might find as good bombshells or nuggets for the audience today on that topic of conversions?
I mean, like I said, it is a really huge topic, and I encourage people to focus on your conversion rate optimization. Your website is, it's your biggest asset, right? And it can often be neglected because we're so focused on traffic. We're so focused on getting eyeballs to our website. And I just want you to think about where you're spending your time and shift that. And if you're not spending a really good portion of your time optimizing your website, then you need to be, because that is where the sort of gold happens in e-commerce. And you can optimize every page of your website. You can optimize the product page, the cart, the checkout, your homepage, your collections. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be constantly tweaking your website and constantly making changes all the time, but it is an iterative process. So you're never actually done with conversion rate optimization.
Yeah.
You go in there, you do it, you monitor your conversion rate. Is it going up? Is it going down? And you continuously make improvements.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that. I like how it's an iterative process. And yet there could be a cycle where you feel like you're iterating all the time. Right. But I think, I'm just connecting what you said before around testing and analytics and looking at where your traffic source comes from. I think that combination of testing, tweaking. For me, that's what I've kind of gotten from this conversation today: test and tweak, and optimize. So I think those are some amazing tips to kind of share with the audience. But I guess I want to kind of understand from you, pulling it all together. What's like one thing that the audience can kind of focus on to help their e-commerce business out today? Like short, quick win.
Ah, I think your average order value. I
Okay.
think I think well, actually, it's never a quick win, but I think the three places that you need to be focusing on are your conversion rate, your average order value, and then your lifetime value. So like I said before, so many people focus on their traffic,
Yeah.
and actually by focusing too much on your traffic, you could be stunting your growth, and you could actually be, killing your sales, for want of a dramatic term. But that is because when you spend too much time at that top of funnel, so bringing people into your website, and not enough time nurturing those customers, you're leaving serious money on the table. And that three combo of average order value, lifetime customer, and conversion rate, it's what I call the honeypot of e-commerce. It's where the gold sits. So, and they all feed into each other. So average order value is increasing how much people are adding to their cart or spending with you when they're shopping with you already. It's a no-brainer. You've already got them potentially to the cart stage. How can you get them adding more? You've already got them wanting to buy from you. You can double your increase. You can double your revenue just by increasing your average order value. And when you pull on those three things like levers, so if you increase your conversion rate a little bit, you increase your average order value a little bit, and you focus on bringing that customer back buying from you over and over again, that is how you end up doing less work in your business, but make more money.
Yeah.
Whereas when we're trying to keep pouring new traffic in, and traffic is important, don't get me wrong, we definitely need a constant flow. Otherwise, you don't have anyone to convert in the first place.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to put more cold traffic in, it costs more. That is the most expensive part of owning an e-commerce business.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess my top tip is, it's not so much a quick win, but it is look at those three elements and how can you really improve those.
Yeah.
And average order value is probably one of the easiest things to implement. It's things like, can you create bundles on your website? Can you install a free shipping threshold? Can you do a upsell? So if you already offer a 200-gram bag of coffee beans, can you offer a 500-gram bag for a discounted price?
Yeah.
So they're actually really easy ways, and there's amazing apps out there, right?
Yeah.
That you can install that can do all of this for you.
Yeah. Wow.
So I think average order value is definitely a quick win.
Yeah. Average order value, and lifetime valuable customer. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And I think, those simple things really help, build the relationship with the customer as well and keep coming back. I think it's easier to actually have someone, I think I heard somewhere, have someone buy again from you than actually acquiring a new customer sometimes.
100%. Always.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, Chloe. And I think, I'm really sad that this is towards the end of the episode, because I think there's so much more that people can learn from you. So that kind of brings me on to my next segue. How do people find out more and work with you?
Yeah, sure. So I work with people one-on-one where I can do coaching and consulting. I also do done-for-you work where I can create strategies for you and then help you implement those strategies. But I also offer an online course called the e-commerce course, which is a 6-week self-paced program. I've got a cohort of students in it right now, and they're loving it. There's so many aha moments coming out of that. So I'm really excited to open the doors for that again. But you can find me on Instagram. So it's ecom dot marketing cafe. I think just search ecom marketing cafe. Otherwise, my website is marketingcafe.online, and you can link off to all my social media there as well. But those are the two places that I hang out the most. Or anyone's welcome to email me, hello@marketingcafe.online.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Right. So what I'll do is I'll have all those links in the description so people don't have to go back and listen and type it again. So that makes it
Oh, that
easier
makes
for the
sense.
no, that would be fantastic. So look, I really appreciate you being on the show today. It's been fantastic. So many good bombshells. And for those of you who are listening, please follow Chloe. Please join her ecom course to learn more about how to scale your sales online, especially when it comes to e-commerce. So thank you so much again, Chloe, and we'll connect soon.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening into the show today. And if you did like our content, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or this YouTube series so that way we can keep giving you more content and sharing you more knowledge around how to scale your sales online. And if you are wanting to boost your sales online, please sign up to our e-sales school where you will learn to automate and navigate your way around in this digital marketplace. Thank you so much once again. I really appreciate you joining in today. And remember to keep selling, keep having fun, and keep being you.